Welcome to the Ultimate Advanced Onron Guide to take you from a lowly bronze player to a Grandmaster God and/or quick play warrior. I will be covering all of the advanced tips, tricks, combos, shortcuts, playstyles, counters, perks, and more all in one video. Let's start with her combos. One of my go-to bread and butter combos for Onron is as follows.
Failure!
Left click, right click, shift E. It is ruthlessly efficient and will kill any 250 health hero. However, if you miss your headshots, it will just take an extra left click to do your business. Health pack, jerk. A more basic combo that doesn't require as much aim is simply engage with your shift, pop your E, and then 2 right clicks. It also is great for like AoE damage because you'll attack more than just your one target. If you're trying to attack without using any of your abilities, say you're doing like a nice flank over the top of a roof, you can use your left click, right click, left click punch. You have to hit at least one headshot in that combo. However, it is really efficient if you can hit all your shots. And it still leaves you all of your abilities to run away or go even deeper. Another combo you can do if you want to save your E ability looks like this. It's left click, right click, shift, cancel your shift with a punch. That is possible as of one of the newest buffs to Onron, and it is really smooth and really cool. Once you start using your ultimate for combos, things get really interesting. You can do cool tricks like this, and then kill with 1 dash and 1 punch. This is good for conserving a lot of your abilities, and then you can obviously keep fighting with your E, your other dash, and just cause mayhem. Or more often with your ultimate, you'll probably end up doing this combo, where you land on them, pop your E, and then throw a few right clicks out. Just good AoE damage, get everybody, and it's not as hard to hit. Tips and tricks. Onron does more damage with her primary fire than her secondary fire, even if the enemy is already ignited. But it does require you to hit both your headshots, so I would still recommend using your right click once ignited, unless you're confident with your aim. On that note, you should rarely ever be using your right click unless the enemy is already ignited, as it does very little damage without it. The only times you'd want to use your right click instead would be when facing something like D.Va's Defense Matrix or Genji's Deflect, as it is considered a beam attack and goes straight through them. If we start using her abilities, there is a few more important things to note as well. With her E ability, she becomes completely invincible to any and all attacks for a brief duration once activated. This means you can dodge many ultimates such as Diva Bomb, Junker Queen Rampage, Alari's ultimate, Vendetta's ultimate, and more. This also, of course, extends to abilities like Reinhardt's Charge or Maga's Stomp. Something she unfortunately can't do with her E ability is Cleanse Anti-Heal or save herself from a ledge, as you always return back to wherever you initiated the ability. An interesting interaction with Ana is once she shoots you, you can actually stop the full damage from getting through because it's a damage over time. So you hit your E, and it doesn't do any damage. Her shift ability has a few important things to note as well. As you saw, it is a very potent combo tool, as it does a small amount of damage upon impact, and more importantly, applies half a stack of Ignite on any enemy you come in contact with. Some things you might not know is it can be cancelled with both your punch and E abilities to allow for smoother combos, and it can even hit the same enemy twice if you manage to turn around and get another hit in. Another little thing you might have noticed that makes her dash a little janky is that while dashing, you cannot use left and right inputs. She goes exactly in the direction your cursor is facing no matter what. Also, I highly recommend saving at least 1 dash to escape any and all attacks you do. If you use both your dashes, you better be going out with at least 1 kill, or else you are blindly feeding the enemy. Rooftops and flanklers are your best friend. You weren't supposed to follow me. I'm scared. As for her ultimate, it's a little more straightforward, but I just want to make sure everyone knows that it is a phenomenal tool for shortcuts or getting distance quickly. For many maps like Ilios Lighthouse, or King's Row, where you can cross the map in seconds with the right use of your abilities. It's also important to note that if you hit enemies within the inner circle of your ultimate, it does do more damage than if they get hit with the outer circle. When using it, I would recommend starting from a place of cover or a surprise attack, as it does leave you a bit of a sitting duck for a second if used directly in front of the enemy. Are you enjoying your floaty?
Yeah. Travel with it.
Wait, you are moving. What the hell? That's cool. Perks. Once you factor in her various perks, things get even more interesting. Her minor perks are pretty straightforward, with Smolder obviously helping boost your overall DPS by leaving enemies on fire longer, and Heat Shield massively increasing her survivability while ulting. Personally, I always pick Heat Shield as it makes it so much easier to capitalize on her ultimate. Moving into her major perks, you suddenly get extra options. Short Fuse is the ultimate glass cannon perk, allowing you to essentially infinitely dash into people during big team fights as you replenish your cooldown for each person hit. Fair enough. This is only a good perk if you're in close quarters map or know for sure that the enemy will be frequently bunched together. Alternatively, there is Hungering Blaze. Oh, I got trapped, you're kidding! The bot's too good! Which realistically is the smarter choice, as it lets you get out of your excessive feeding by basically healing you up to full health when you dive into the enemy team. Overall, I recommend a combination of Smolder and Short Fuse for you glass cannon kamikaze types, and Heat Shield plus Hungering Blaze for a more conservative playstyle. Speaking of playstyles, when you're playing Onron, you'll have to adapt your playstyle depending on the situation. If the enemy team is running a Cassidy or a Junkrat, for example, you keep your distance, play more passively, and ultimately only engage the enemy team when neither of them are around. In the times they are, simply poke at the enemy with your primary fire, wait till you see Cass use his flashbang, and maybe dash in for just a quick ult charge, but you need to be very careful and passive. Honestly though, the best choice is to just switch to someone else. If you are blessed enough to play a match without heroes such as Cass and Junk, more on her counters later, then you should 100% be turning on the aggression. Get in, build ult charge, get out. Flank behind, assassinate to support, then get out. Flank, 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 flank. That is how she plays. If you are standing in the choke point, shooting everyone from afar, you are throwing. Onron is horrible at poke damage. You should always be on the flank, and if not, then you should be diving in and out constantly to build up your ult charge. She is best played when being extremely aggressive. Overall, Onron excels much more in close range maps, where she can get in and out of danger effortlessly, and the enemy is forced to engage you in close range combat. She can work in the longer range maps if you have flank routes or tricks in mind. Highly recommend watching my map test video for that. Otherwise, you're better off just playing her in smaller maps. Counters. Now this is the fun part, because we get to talk about half the roster. If the enemy is playing Cassidy, avoid or die. Junkrat, avoid or die. Vendetta, avoid or die. Ana, avoid or die. Mizuki, prepare your will. Kiriko, uninstall the game. Zarya, reinstall the game, then throw your PC in the dumpster. Roadhog, avoid or die. Pharah, ignore or die. Echo, might as well quit. The Jetpack Cat, find the nearest pit. Sigma, avoid or die. Every other tank in the game, tickle them to death. Or die. Seeing a pattern here? Onron is negated by many different heroes in every single role. If I had to pick a biggest offender from each role, it's Roadhog, Cassidy, and Kiriko. With a very special recognition for Mizuki. Any hero who can stun her when she engages wins. Any hero who can negate her fire damage wins. Capable of flying? Guess what? They win. Onron is countered by almost everyone and excels against almost no one. At best, she is meh against the rest of the cast, really only excelling against a Widow or a Hanzo if I had to pick a few. When playing against her stun counters, only ever engage after you see them use their ability. Finally, let's talk about some of my favorite shortcuts. You should definitely check out my every map tip video for much more information, however, I thought I would at least share a few here. Ilios Lighthouse has probably my favorite one, taking you from spawn to point in a matter of seconds. If you jump off of this potted plant, perfectly leap onto this roof, you can then use your second dash, perfectly jump over this roof, slide your way, and ult directly onto point. Esperanza has this fun cross-map one, and Eichenwald is full of countless crazy tricks. Overall, just always keep your eyes open for roofs you can jump over or things you can dash around out of sight. It is a very key part of Onron's gameplay, and you should 100% be abusing her mobility at every opportunity. Overall, if I had to give a final verdict on Onron, she sucks. At the time of recording this, at least. Compared to Vendetta or Venture, or pretty much any other flanker, she's just too weak and has worse options. That being said, however, she is certainly a lot of fun. Your mobility is great. And it feels so satisfying to hit a sweet combo on people. It's just not realistically practical in competitive play. At best, I would say she can be situationally quite strong. In close quarters against none of your counters, but that just rarely ever happens. Don't let this discourage you though. She can be viable in the future, and given how fun she is to play, it is absolutely worth mastering her just in case our time finally comes in the spotlight. For more tips and content, be sure to subscribe and check out all my other videos. And thank you so much for watching. I hope this video was able to help you master this unique hero.